Hi and welcome to a Kirby Maths video all about constructing a table of coordinates, and we are going to use the table of coordinates eventually, not in this video, but eventually to plot a straight line on a set of axes. So first of all we are going to construct our table of coordinates, and it is exactly what it says it is. It's a table that we fill in the values and then we will be able to find some coordinates of points to join up to make our straight line. We are going to look at this example where we have a line which follows this algebra rule: y equals 2x plus 1. In this equation, the 2 represents the gradient, how steep the line is, and the 1 represents where it crosses the y-axis. And remember that straight lines are of this general form. M is the gradient and C is where it crosses the y-axis. Both M and C can be positive or negative. They can be fractions or they can be whole numbers. So we start off with our table of coordinates, and in some questions, some exam questions, you will be given the values, and then in some exam questions, which are a little bit more tricky, you might not be given the values. You'll have to draw up your own table. We always pop the x values on the top, and the x values are going to be used to give us the y values. I'm going to start off with an example that's just got positive numbers. We're going to start with 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And remember that in y equals 2x plus 1, what that means is that we times x by 2, then add 1. That is what that algebra is saying to us. Times the x value by 2, then add 1. So if we go through these x values, doing that every time, it will give us the y value. 2 times 0 is 0, add 1 is 1. Going on to the next x value where x is 1. 2 times 1 is 2, add 1 is 3. On to the next x value. 2 times 2 is 4, add 1 is 5. On to the next x value. 2 times 3 is 6, add 1 is 7. And 2 times 4 is 8, add 1 is 9. We filled in our table, we've got all the x values and the corresponding y values, and when we pair these up in the form x comma y, which gives us a coordinate, and then we join them up, that would be a straight line. So this pair of coordinates that go together would be 0, 1. This pair of coordinates which go together would be 1, 3. This pair of coordinates 2, 5, and so we keep going. 3, 7, and 4, 9. Now to draw an accurate straight line, you need to have 3 pairs of coordinates. It doesn't really work with 2, because if one of your things is wrong, then you can't tell it's wrong. If you've got 3 coordinates and you plot them and they're not in a straight line, then you've got one of your calculations wrong. So usually you would have to fill in at least 3 values. Okay, let's look what happens when we've got a different function. This is the function, and we go into negative values for x. You just have to take your time, and a bit like I'm doing on this video, almost talk to yourself in order to get the y value. So repeat each time what you're doing in your head or out loud if it helps you. Let's have a look at this one. So y is equal to 3x minus 4. It's already going to be a bit more difficult because there's a takeaway thing in there. And if you need to, remind yourself that this means 3 times x, then minus 4. You don't have to write that down, but sometimes it's useful to remind yourself exactly what the algebra means. Okay, our table of coordinates this time, I'm going to do some negative numbers because they're a little bit more tricky. So minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, and 2. Those are our x values, and we're going to find out what the y value is when we have put the x value into 3 times x, then take away 4. Looking at minus 2. 3 times minus 2 is minus 6, and we are going to take away another 4. With the minus signs, just like I have down the side of the page, it's useful to write that sum out rather than try and do it in your head, because your eyes will see it and process it, and it will help you rather than trying to keep everything inside your head. So we've got minus 6, minus 4. So in total, that gives us minus 10. If you think about it in terms of temperatures, the temperature is minus 6. It goes down by another 4. It gets colder. That means it's going to be minus 10. Okay, moving on to x is equal to minus 1. 3 times minus 1 is minus 3. Take away another 4 would give us minus 7. 0. 3 times 0 is 0. Take away 4 gives us minus 4. I'm moving on to x is equal to 1 now. 3 times 1 is 3. Take away 4 gives me minus 1. And finally, when x is equal to 2 in this table, 3 times 2 is 6. 6 take away 4 is 2. When you get into the numbers being positive, you might not need to write it down, but definitely with the negative numbers, the minus numbers, you will need to write it down. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's easier if you start off with 0, 1 and 2, the positive numbers, and then go back and do the minus 1 and the minus 2. But that's a personal choice, and it makes no difference which order you fill these in, because nobody can tell the order which you filled it in as long as it's all filled in. So the coordinates that come out of this particular table would be minus 2, minus 10, and we could plot that. Remember, it would be minus 2 along and then down 10. Here, minus 1, minus 7, 0, minus 4, that would be 0 along, minus 4 down, it would be on the y-axis. 1, minus 1, 1 along, 1 down, and this one would be 2 along, 2 up, 2, 2. And that is how you draw up a table of coordinates. Thanks for watching.